The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at wrestlingwithjohners.com. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Wrestling with Johners, episode 334. And of course, we are in the middle of the month of November, which marks 5 years of Wrestling with Johners. And today I've got an awesome guest, my second live interview of the week, none other than the RIXE Catch Women's Champion and the UKPW Women's Champion, the Anticonformist, Chimera. Kira, awesome to have you on the show. How are you doing?
I'm really well. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm super hyped for it.
Oh, same here. And let's say, when I've seen a lot of your work this year at United Wrestling in particular, we will get into that. We do take a full deep dive, but I've become a massive fan of yours. So it's my pleasure to have you on the show this week. This month, like I say, I wanted you as part of the special lineup for 5 years of Wrestling with Johners. But before we take a deep dive with Kira, just a quick reminder of some of my recent guests that have also helped me celebrate 5 years of Wrestling with Johners. And of course, we started the month of November with renowned referee Tom Scarborough, former WOS and NXT UK referee. Like I say, referees regularly for Over the Top, OTT over in Ireland, and Progress, of course. The following week, we had Session Moth Martina on the show, a wonderful 60-minute interview with Martina. Please go and check that one out. And last week, we had the youngest of the lineup for the month of November, 16-year-old Leon Cage, the futurist. Go and check that one out. A real star for the future. Leon Cage was a wonderful guest last week. And of course, last week, we also had part 1 of episode 7 of my Legends Masterclass series with British wrestling legend, World of Sport wrestling legend, Johnny Saint. That is now available on YouTube and all audio platforms. And I mentioned this is my second interview of the week. The first one, I had this one here. Nico Angelo was on the show on Monday. The man with a black heart of gold was on the show. Fantastic 90-minute, very insightful, fascinating conversation with Nico. Please go check that one out. And after today's interview, my next live interview next Monday will be with the Queen of Mean, Lana Austin, coming onto the show to round out our live interviews for the month of November, marking 5 years of Wrestling with Johners. And today, it's that young lady there, Chimera. I thought I would try to emulate kind of like a punk style poster for you there. I hope I did it justice. But I really want to bring up this picture here. Now, if that doesn't make you smile, then nothing will. But the current UKPW and the RIXE Catch Women's Champion. When you look at that picture there, Kira, that must make you smile, and that must be a pretty proud achievement to have those two championships that you very proudly hold currently in 2023.
Yeah, like it was, I could not hope for something like that before. Like I've achieved more dreams that I thought I would. So it's quite insane for me to be double champion and international as well. And also like the RIXE championship is the first ever. I've been the first ever women's champion. This means so much to me. You have no idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't be more proud to be holding those belts. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. In a nutshell, give us a bit of a glimpse into how your 2023 has been so far, because I've seen you at United a few times, but 2023 has been a bit of an insane year for you. And I get the feeling it's probably been one of your most fun years of your career so far.
Oh, definitely. It's been most probably the best I've had. 2022 was like, let's say it like it is, a nightmare. Like I've had a lot of dates, but personally I've had lots of personal issues. I've had like lots of mental health issues, and I literally burned myself out. So end of 2022 I started to be a bit outside of, stopped a bit to wrestle. I didn't wrestle for the last few months, or barely.
Yeah.
And so starting 2023 with that match with Scotty Roke, that really set the tone for the whole year. And yeah, like since then, like it gave me such a boost. And I took much less shows. Like I didn't do so many shows in 2023 compared to 2021, although I only accepted the one that I would really care about,
Yeah.
and that really made a difference. And it's not over yet. There's some really cool stuff coming up, really.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited, and we'll talk about one or two of their matches very, very soon because we've got some just around the corner. Am I right in thinking that you're living over here in the UK, living in London nowadays, Kira?
Yeah, I live in London near Wembley.
Ah, and I think you moved over close to or around lockdown, and you've kind of used London as your base for home and for, I suppose, wrestling as well nowadays.
Yeah, actually, I moved so in January 2020, so literally just before COVID. That
Yeah.
was a very bad timing, let's say. But
You could
what
say it's perfect timing, really, because had it been any later, you might not have been able to have moved at all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, because of Brexit, of course, now I have so many friends in France who wants to come in London or like in the UK, and they just can't because they can only stay 3 months. They can't work because obviously it's really hard to get a visa and everything. So I'm very lucky. I was there before that, so I'm like I'm okay. I can stay here. I can work here. That's amazing. So I'm very lucky about that. But like coming here and only having like 2 months and a half being able to train properly, being able to like network and go see shows and wrestle, that was very frustrating.
Yeah,
But yeah, like originally I came here to learn. I mean, I was a wrestler already in France, but like the way we teach wrestling in France is very different compared to what I've seen here in the UK. So I came here to learn. I came here to train. Obviously, I came here to have more opportunities. I basically came here just for wrestling. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And we'll talk more about that kind of period in your life very, very soon. But I brought up the championship belts earlier, and one promotion I want to talk about in particular is RIXE. I think I pronounced it RIXE earlier, but RIXE
Yeah,
Catch
yeah,
Pro over in France, your native country, of course. And I'm going to bring up this picture here. I don't know if I can read it properly, but I think it said 176 days. You're now about 180 days as the RIXE Catch Women's Champion, and like I say, a promotion that's very close to your heart because obviously it's a promotion from your native country, from France, of course, but also a promotion that you had quite a bit of involvement with back in its early days, especially with its academy. But what does it mean to you to be the RIXE Catch Women's Champion? And I think for 6 months now, that's quite an achievement.
everything. It means literally everything because yeah, of course I've had some involvement in the promotion, but um since I moved to the UK, of course I'm not in the booking. I'm not in like in all those areas. So unfortunately I had to kind of give up, but I'm super happy that I wrestle there often. But not only that, so of course, yeah, that's my home promotion. But in France, I mean, women's wrestling in France, we must be like not even 10. So there's so few opportunities. There's just, I think at this point, RIXE was on the only women's belt that was being built and that was active. So like when I earned that belt, and I say earned,
Yeah,
uh, I I was the only women's champion, I believe, in France. And not only that, but like it happened for a women's main event, which is huge. Is then the first women's belt for RIXE, one of the first women's belts in France in general, in the whole history of women's wrestling in France, and the first women's main event in RIXE as well, which is a lot. We literally mark history that night.
Absolutely. Was that the night when you won the championship? Because I think you went up against two British talents, didn't you? I think LA Taylor in the
Yeah.
semi-final match, and then Alexis Falcon in the final match to actually become the first ever and the reigning RIXE Catch Women's champion. But was that the main event match you're referring to? Because that tournament alone sounds like a tremendous lineup and a great achievement for yourself.
Yeah, that was this tournament. So we were four women. So Amal, who is previously NXT UK,
Yeah.
here who was signed NXT UK, LA Taylor and Alex Falcon. And yeah, indeed, I had a match against LA Taylor. I won that one. That was already insane. I remember coming in the ring, and the whole crowd was chanting to Cassie, and I was already crying. I was already crying. You can see if you watch the match, you can see I literally have tears in my eyes. I was literally tearing up. There was so much emotion, that the whole crowd was chanting my thing. And then yeah, like I came in the ring for the final with just Focus,
Yeah.
and that was maybe the most stressful night of my life. um Two matches, women's main event, I couldn't fuck up,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
I had to deliver, and I had to win that title for my pips, my people. um so yeah, that was magical. I don't think I could ever forget the night.
Absolutely. And I'm going to bring up a picture there because I think not only is that an awesome picture of you, but it really shows off the very beautiful championship belt as well. And I love the red strap. Love
Oh
everything
yeah.
about it. And to give us a bit of an insight into the French scene at the moment, because I had Mila Smid on the show last month, so about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and a tremendous talent. She has had a wonderful year, a wonderful couple of years, but I think 2023 has been a great year for Mila as well. And she is a French compatriot of yours. And I think the two of you actually had a championship match over the RIXE Women's Championship in September, if I'm not mistaken. But tell us a bit about the French scene from your perspective. And I know you're living over here in the UK, but it does seem to be getting bigger and better every year, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I started wrestling. I was in like the wrestling environments, since I'm since I'm 14. I'm
Wow.
29 now. So it's been 15 years I'm in the wrestling environment. And at first, there was just only a few people who were at the top, let's say, and they're still here. I'm talking about Tristan Archer, for example,
Yeah, great guy.
um, who is a WXW. I remember, when I started, he was there, and he started to be like a kind of a reference for us, as French people, as French wrestlers. And I grew up seeing women in France, like, if there was a women match, that was good, and no one in France would go abroad. Like, it was a very little scene. There was not so many women. There was barely any women. Obviously, there was not so many men, or at least not a lot of experienced men.
Sure.
And I saw this scene evolve, and I would say that since, I would say, 2019, around 2019, we saw more and more and more French people being abroad, especially WXW, for example, um, Res Pro, Progress, um, OTT, I believe. So it was like, wow, we can make it. We can make it. We can actually go abroad. And it was like such a big kind of revelation. Wow, we can actually, we are good enough to go abroad. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
But I think at
100%.
this point we're still quite little, but then it literally exploded just after COVID. Like, we've seen Aigle Blanc, Senza, Tristan. Aigle Blanc has been to Japan with Tristan as well. And obviously women's, like Mila, who went regularly to Germany, Amal, who signed at I mean, who was WXW longest reigning WXW Women's Champ, then becoming NXT UK signed AS UK.
Yeah.
So this, I think, gave a lot of hope to the new generation who is now straight away going outside, straight away going abroad. I think about Corey Zero, for example, Kuro. Those guys are straight away going to OTT, and they are not scared to go outside and train in other places abroad. I mean, so it's very positive. I'm very optimistic for the new generations in France. Like the scene in France is getting better and bigger, and this is just amazing to see it.
Absolutely. And I want to talk to you about your career, your wrestling career over here in the UK now, because that's where I've got to see you and work with you a few times, and certainly at United Wrestling. And you mentioned that I think you had a couple of matches for United in 2022, and your first match against Scotty Rourke, was it at the beginning of this year? Because that was the start of your trilogy of matches against Scotty, wasn't it? Was that this year?
I believe it was February this year, or maybe January, but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely this year. Yeah,
definitely early this year. Yeah, and
yeah, it was the 12th of February.
I think that your set of 3 matches with Scotty Rourke has to be up there as one of your favorite set of matches, one of your favorite feuds, one of your favorite programs and storylines, and possibly one of your favorite foes or rivals in your career so far. But give us a bit of insight into your journey with United and Scotty Rourke in particular, because I think your feud with his has to go down as possibly the greatest feud in United Wrestling history, and maybe yours as well.
Oh, definitely mine. Definitely mine. Like
Yeah.
this story, this feud, this everything about it. I'm just so emotional each time I think about it, and I could talk about it for 3 hours. So don't get me started, I would say.
for as long as you want, for as long as you need to.
No, seriously, like just the first match, I was very uh actually, you know what? Like before the first match, I was meant to wrestle against Aluna Blue for a fourth count anywhere, so it was already meant to be a big match for me that night. But Aluna apparently got injured the day before, and so and so the promoter told me, "Look, Aluna is not available, but we have a replacement, and it's going to be Scotty Rourke." And I was like, "What? Okay, um, you sure?" But yeah,
Did you
cool.
know much about Scotty before that announcement was made? Was you aware of what sort of a talent he was when you were
Yeah,
first told that by the promoter?
I knew, but yeah, I knew him. Yeah,
You knew, you knew.
I knew. I met
Please continue.
him before at TNT actually,
Yeah,
um, and and yeah, I was like, oh my god, like first of all, I didn't do many intergender matches in my life, and so I was like, okay, that's gonna be a challenge. I want to do a lot of. I mean, I love intergender matches, and I am asking for it, but I didn't imagine it coming so soon, like that, like on the spot. So I was very stressed, but very like super excited. I remember being at WrestleForce the day of the where when the promoter told me that, and I was telling everyone, you know what, I'm gonna wrestle Scotty Rock tomorrow. Can you believe that? Can you believe? And I was super excited. Anyway, the match happened, and I remember coming backstage and being like, "Oh my god, what just happened?" It was insane. It was magical. It was wow, maybe the
yeah,
best match of my whole career. And everyone was like, "Wow, that was amazing. That was the match of the night. Already the match of the year, that's for sure." um, and all the people on social media, I was there. I saw that. So proud of having been that they could say that they've been there, and I couldn't believe what was happening, and I was like, I just want more of it. I just want to like wrestle him again because I've learned so much that night. And like we sort of met backstage, obviously before the match, and we were like, mate, we are like the same. Like we are looking like each other. Like what the fuck is happening? We could be a tag. And I mean, we are now. I mean, 8 months later or something like that, we
Yeah,
decided
yeah.
to.
I've got
Um,
to say the chemistry between you two as well, and certainly in the first, second, third match, and you probably felt this from the very first match, but the chemistry between you two is just off the charts. And you both like to strike hard and hit hard and give punishment, and you love to take the punishment from one another as well. And that's obviously something that you must have realized very early on, and especially as the series of matches progressed. But the chemistry between you two was just off the charts.
yeah. I mean, we realized it at the first match. We came backstage and it was like that was something. And yeah, like it just grew as because of course the year has I mean we just sort of met for the first match, and then the second match happened and we were like wow. We came backstage and people were like wow, like you did even better. How was that possible? And I remember crying after that second match. I was so scared as well of the second match because I was like, okay, the first one was good, but maybe it was just a fluke. Um, I was extremely scared, and then I came backstage. I was so relieved, and I was like, wow, I won the match. But also, fuck me, like this
Yeah.
chemistry is unique, and I've never had a chemistry like that with anyone in a wrestling match. Um, so yeah, doing the one with the chain was very very challenging. We I mean I think it kind of proved the chemistry we have.
Yeah, for sure.
um I mean, I would have never done a chain match with anyone else than Scotty because this kind of thing you need to trust your opponent. You literally go to hell and back with that kind of stipulation, you see. So it was really like a proof of how much I trust him and how much he trusts me as well. Like, and I hope we show that to the crowd. I think we did. That was something as well.
Absolutely. And before we continue, I'm going to bring up a video that might bring back some memories. Just watch this. Wow, wow, wow. That's all I can say to that. And when it happened, I thought, is Scotty Rourke broken? Is he okay? And the look on your face was probably asking the same questions. But I know that was a highly competitive match. You probably, discussed that spot before the match. But when it happens, what was going through your mind?
Is he dead?
Yeah,
Is he dead?
he's a
I
crazy mofo.
I killed my friend. And if you look, I have footage on my socials where the camera is really on my face, and you see me cry. You literally see me cry. Um, like that was a turning point. That's about literally a turning point towards okay, I've gone too far now. I I realized that I actually love that guy. I don't want him to die. I don't want him to be
Yeah,
hurt. I don't want to hurt him. I need to finish that this feud, this story has to finish with a pin, not someone being dead on the mat. Um And I remember people telling me, pin him, just pin him. And no, 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 it couldn't finish like that. So yeah, crazy man, crazy man.
Yeah, and what a match! And I think that was the perfect way to cap off that series of matches between the two of you. And what it did was, after that match, there you are. And I brought these photos up earlier. He hands you your bat, even gets down on one knee to present it to you, and he told you that you had gained his respect. And from that moment forward, the Dog's Bollocks were born. The Dog's Bollocks were born. We had a really fun, very passionate backstage interview. And Scotty, of course, put you over massively. But obviously, it makes sense. You mentioned earlier that the two of you look similar, have similar styles, have similar passions, similar, fight and determination. So it only makes sense that after that war, that battle that the two of you have been through, it just makes sense for the two of you to come together, to join as a team, as a tag team, and you will be the Dog's Bollocks in United Wrestling going forward. And it just makes sense, doesn't it? What a perfect team between the two of you. I don't think anybody could have put two individuals together to make any more of a perfect team.
I mean, we kind of knew since the day we actually met and united
Yeah,
that this was special, that we had to do something out of this. And then the chemistry we had and everything that came to that just make us confirm that obviously we have to do something. If we make people feel so much emotions watching us and telling us that we have chemistry, how is it going to be once we are actually together fighting with, I mean, together, like literally together
yeah,
against other people? And obviously, it's not just a team we want to have at United, it's literally a team we want to have everywhere in the world. We are a natural, real team. It's not just a story. It's two people who met each other and literally became brother and sister. At
yeah.
this point, this is literally just that, and I'm 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 so grateful for it, and I really want to like fight um with my friend, like I want to fight beside him now and
Yeah,
everywhere.
I think you could take this tag team and put it in any promotion anywhere around the world. I think it just absolutely works. And we're looking ahead to United's next show. I think it's called Seasons Beatings, December the 10th. I'll be there. And I've got to be honest, I'm a fan of the Odyssey, but that match all day long is just going to be a show stealer. It's going to be a banger. And tag team wrestling is my jam. So watching those two teams in a tag match let's bring it up again, but for the United Tag Team Championship. So much on the line. And I've got to say, I think it's going to be the Odyssey's hardest match that they've had in 7 or 8 reigns now, 7 or 8 title defenses. How do you see that one going?
Um, I'm not gonna lie, I'm nervous because I mean I trust us, I trust Cody, I trust the Dogs Bollocks,
Yeah,
but I'm nervous because first of all, I've never been a tag wrestler. I've always refused. I've always refused, and I've had a lot of opportunities, but I've always refused to be tagging with anyone, like a serious thing. I've always thought I am too independent for that. I can't do it. But with Scotty, it's just just a
yeah,
natural kind of, yeah, of course, let's do
it's
it. Of
perfect.
course, it's perfect. It's just, of course. So it's not my first tag match, but almost, and it will be our first tag match together. So it will really, really test us, really confirm if yes or no we are actually the Dogs Bollocks. But I'm sure we are. And, and on the top of all of that, there's a championship. And we're talking about a tag team who's been together for a very long time. So they do have tag chemistry for sure. Um, they've been running at United for as champion for a month as well. And as you said, I think they won 6 times. They
It's a fair, yeah. I think, well, let's see, about 6 or 7 matches they've been
yeah.
successful as a team in United, so they're really on a tear now for sure.
Yeah, so that's a huge challenge, and I think this is a good way to test ourselves. I'm excited for it. I'm very excited for it, but I'm
Yeah,
nervous.
yeah,
I think
and
that's good nerves. That's good nerves.
good nerves, exciting nerves as well.
Mhm.
United Wrestling are actually watching us now, and they've sent through this little message. It's going to be the main event.
Oh, yes.
It's going to be the main event. So
Yes.
I don't know if that kind of makes you even more nervous, but thank you, United Wrestling.
Thank
And
you, Nazim.
but I mean, that's really, really cool. And we did have a question that came through from another viewer. We've got Richie watching us live via YouTube. Who thought of the name, the Dog's Bollocks? So quite a unique name for a taxi. But to be honest with you, it suits the pairing, I suppose. Certainly with that punk vibe, that punk
Yeah.
edge. So kind of who came up with it, and what was the idea
So
behind the Dog's
there's
Bollocks?
there's an actual story about it. It's Scotty who came up with it. He actually thought about the Sex Pistols, and he wanted like a Sex Pistols vibe. Um, so he said, yeah, so I can say that. I mean, sorry. I What about we do that? And actually, he even, if you look at his promo after our first match in February, I did a promo in the ring, and then he replied. And in his promo, he said that he's the Dog's Bollocks already. So that's a little wink, to it. And also, for the story, when he messaged me about that, I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then, because, I'm French, I don't know what the Dog's Bollocks mean. And I was like, but why the dogs, though? I said that to myself. I asked my partner, why the dogs, though? Why not, like, I don't know, the cat, the lion, the tiger, whatever? And obviously that was very funny. But yeah, it comes from Scotty.
We've
I would
got
have
some
never been
strange
able to
sayings over here.
come
We've
up with
got some
it.
strange sayings over here in the UK. It makes sense to
Yeah.
us UK, to us Brits, but we've got some strange sayings for sure. Let's see where I am. So the only other thing I wanted to bring up was at the last two shows when you've match number 2 against Scotty and match number 3 against Scotty, that chain match, and you mentioned this earlier, but you came back and you were very emotional. You could, there were tears, there was raw emotion. And I think possibly because you knew that the match was special against a very special opponent and the occasion was very special, but um, you clearly kind of very passionate and wear your heart on your sleeve. But was it just those 2 matches that really got to you emotionally?
I I very rarely cry after a match. I like cry like tears of joy, like that happens barely ever. I think, yeah, those 2 matches and the day I won that RIXE title. I think that's the 3 times I've ever cried after a match. So Scotty must think that I keep crying all the time. He must think, oh, that's normal. That's just her thing. But no, Scotty, if you look, if you watch that, no, I'm not like that. Okay.
There we go. Well, we hope that there's more tears, but tears of joy after the 2 of you are successful on December the 10th at Seasons Beatings. And United sent us one more message, not to add any extra pressure, but the Odyssey are currently 9-0. So either they go 10-0 if they win that match on December the 10th, or you break the streak and it goes
You know what?
9-1.
I'm. You know what tukase means?
Please tell me, because I was going to ask, but please tell me.
It means break everything. So I'm gonna break that streak.
There
If
we are.
there's one person who can break anyone's streak, This is me. And by the way, not United related, but UKPW, their champion, Roth, had a streak of win for like a very long time, I think a whole year, and I broke it. So I'm not very impressed about the 9 victories.
There we go. There we
I
go.
can do it. I mean, we can do it.
Tout cassé, tout cassé.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your nickname, your moniker, the Anticonformist. And obviously, you're a lover of punk and kind of the punk culture, which I want to take a deep dive into very soon. But tell us a bit about the Anticonformist. When did you first discover that nickname or come up with that nickname, and what does it mean to you?
I think it was around 2018 or 2019 when I started to use the bat. I kind of rethought my character, and at the first place I had a character who was not really like me, and then I was like, fuck it, might as well just be me. And Chimera is me. It's literally me. And this anticonformist is exactly how I would define myself in life, in the sense that I've always been the black sheep. I've always been the black sheep, like kind of everywhere. I'm kind of a misfit. I never even want to fit in a group or anything, or kind of follow the norm, conform basically. So this is really something that defines me, in the fact that I don't want to conform to things that I believe are not fair or are not right to me. So yeah, that's what it means. Like it holds this anti-conformist, anarchist, all kind of part
Yeah.
of who I am, really.
Absolutely. And I think this picture perfectly demonstrates what the anti-conformist is all about. You mentioned the bat there, and this one here. When you first started listening to punk music, I used to get my fucking ass kicked for it, and was known as the fucking freak. But now I'm amongst many, many, many freaks here with me tonight. So obviously, you're kind of a punk at heart. You're a punk. You live a punk lifestyle. You love the punk culture and music. Tell us a bit about when punk first came into your life, and tell us about the impact it had on your life as well.
It, I mean, it came, I think, during my teenagehood, uh, and well, I had a lot of mental health issues, and punk rock especially really was my relief. Like I think like a lot of people who listen to punk and punk rock, to be fair, it's kind of cliche, but it's really like I've had a band called My Chimera, by the way, which is why Chimera. Yeah, and it was actually a punk band, a punk rock band. Their logo is actually a little butterfly. Was actually, because we are not a thing anymore, and I actually have it tattooed on my arm. So yeah, like being a musician in that band really helped me feeling better, and gave me kind of a purpose in life as well. And then yeah, like I never gave up on music. I never gave up on punk rock. Each time I have like a downtime, or like not a downtime, but like I feel blue.
Yeah.
I would listen to punk rock straight away, so I can have this energy and feel like, yeah, like just release all my sadness, all my tension, all my frustration and everything. This is just this is just I just, when I listen to punk rock or punk, it's like, I want to break everything.
Yeah.
I literally.
Absolutely. And I love this picture as well, Kira. Beautiful picture. You got the flags in the background there. But there we go. There we go. Absolutely fantastic. I want to find out more about your love for pro wrestling, because you said that been in the business, started training, 14, 15 years ago, when you was a teenager, maybe 14 or 15 years old. But before that, I'm guessing that you were a wrestling fan. Now, I spoke to you earlier about the pro scene, what the scene is like in France. But how did you grow up as a wrestling fan in France, and what was your exposure to it at the time?
Funny enough, uh, after my first exposure to wrestling, I was like, I hate wrestling.
No.
I hate this is bullshit. This is fake. This is violent. I hate it because the first thing I've ever seen was like a very violent death match. So maybe not the best introduction to wrestling. Then maybe a year or two after, it was like a trend in France. Wrestling became a trend again in France, thanks to WWE, who was on the main channels. And I remember my sister watching it. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? You are watching wrestling? What the fuck?" And she was like, "Okay, have a look, have a just one match, and tell me again about it." I watched the match, which was Randy Orton versus Triple H, and I loved it. At the end, I was like, "Oh my god!" Anyway, so I started to watch every week, every week, every week. Became obviously fell in love for Jeff Hardy, like everyone.
Yeah.
And then I started to want more, and I was starting to watch documentary about wrestling and all that. And I realized that there was school in France, wrestling schools in France, and I was like, "Wow, that's an actual thing that we can do. That's awesome." And so I realized there was a school next to me, but unfortunately, at this time, in like French wrestling, let's say, um, because it was such a trend, a lot of wrestling fan opened schools and taught kids how to wrestle, whereas they've themselves never wrestled in their lives.
Right.
They were just wrestling fans, and I fell in that trap until so from 14 to 18. I actually didn't have any idea of what pro wrestling was because I thought we could join in the pro wrestling school just like we would join a basketball or football school. And when you actually do a show, it's like when you have like a dance, you do dancing course classes, and you then show your what you've learned to your parents, and you know what I mean. I
Yeah.
thought that wrestling shows were just that, like just showing, I mean, like amateur type of pro wrestling, you know what I mean.
I understand. Yeah, I get you.
And
Yeah.
because I had no idea what it was at this point, I was like very naive. And then yeah, at 18 years old, I realized, okay, no, this is bullshit. I'm gonna join the rival, and I got hated for that in my previous school. But I want to be a pro wrestler, so I joined a school called RIXE Catch, which was not so far, but like still like I had like a scooter, like a motorbike scooter, and it was like an hour and a half far. That was horrendous
Wow. On a
to get there.
scooter.
Yeah,
That takes
no
commitment.
matter yeah, no matter which weather, I was going there, you know. And against like against all the friends I made in my previous school, they were all hating me, and I was like, I don't give a and again, that showed that anti-conformist kind of mentality. I was like,
Yeah.
cool, I have friends there, and they will hate me for going to the rival, but I don't care. I know that my place is not here actually. For my own future, I have to go in that school that is a real school, even if those are the rivals. I don't care. I this is how I made that mentality of I have to do it for myself, even if it's selfish. I have to. I'd rather be alone and
Yeah.
get rid of those fake friends because they would hate me for doing something I love, rather than trying to please everyone and not go for my dreams, you know.
100%.
um so I went to that school, and yeah, I trained real wrestling. um And then we this school closed, and with the coach who was there, we were actually in a relationship, and we opened RIXE Academy, which before was called a different name. So this is my kind of journey, let's say.
There we go. So it's almost a full circle moment, isn't it, really? But
Yeah.
could you describe your character, or how you were as a wrestler or as a performer in them early days, especially during your teenage years or maybe early 20s? I'm guessing it was kind of like a world away from what we know you as today.
I wish you asked me that question, so then I could show you a picture, you could show it off.
Well, usually I bring up embarrassing photos of wrestlers in their early career, but I wasn't able to find one. So, try
Yes.
and describe it to us.
Okay, you're gonna laugh probably. I was an English student with like little hair, like that, like like a
Pigtails.
little, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
with the tie, with like a red tartan skirt.
Britney Spears. You were like Britney Spears.
Britney Spears, exactly, exactly, amazing. And obviously, I was playing with my hair like that. Like, I was very influenced by the divas, and then I realized after my teenagehood, let's say, that it was really not like me. And then I discovered I discovered punk rock at a bit of the same time as when I changed my gimmick. And I was like, okay, no, this is more like something I like, to be more like a badass. And I started to wear leather corset and stuff. Stop the whole like kind of diva behavior, because it's really not like me. And then I become a badass. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the badass that we like in 2023 for sure, for sure. And I suppose before you moved over to the UK in early 2020, did you feel that your career was needed an injection of life, needed something fresh and something new, and that was the reason why you decided to move over to the UK, just to take your wrestling career to that next level? Was that the mindset behind it?
So early 2019, I started to gain a bit of momentum. So before that, I saw wrestling a bit more like a hobby. Um, I I knew that I loved wrestling, but I was like, cool, like I don't think I'll ever be a pro wrestler in the sense of like make a living out of it properly. I need to pursue like uh I need to pursue like I need to go to university, I need to do all
Sure.
that bullshit.
A normal
And
job. Yeah.
uh yeah, boring. And then yeah, in 2019, I realized, nah, this is bullshit, this is not me again. Like I realized it, and I thought, okay, actually it's possible for me to like not just have a normal job. I don't like having a boss, I hate it. I never really had a boss more than 6 months. So this is not for me. I had the opportunity to go to, I actually passed all my exams to go to Paris and in a school of theater, dance, and music. So I passed my exam, and then I had this choice. Okay, do I go for that school in Paris, or do I try to go for my dreams of being a wrestler and living in London as well? And after maybe a week of thinking about it, I just, okay, I'm just gonna go, because I really needed that in my life, not just in my career, but in my life. I needed my career to go somewhere for sure, but like in my life, I really needed a change at this point, because I've when I sorry, in 2019, sorry, I spent 5 weeks in London training in knuckle locks, and it was like a revelation for me. I was like, wow, I feel really like myself. I feel like I'm really doing something that I really love, and in a place that I really really love as well.
Yeah.
So this is why, so I came back to France in September after 5 weeks in London, and then yeah, literally a few months later, I moved to the UK.
Yeah, and you had an appearance for Pro Wrestling Eve, didn't you, in the January of 2020 before lockdown, Wrestle Queendom that year. I think you were part of maybe a Rumble match, if I'm not mistaken. But obviously, Pro Wrestling Eve, easily the very best women's promotion in the UK, in Europe. And some might say kind of really, really up there with one of the best women's promotions in the world. Such incredible talent, and I know that you've had a few matches for them, but that first opportunity, that first match, that first chance in January 2020, you must have thought that, yeah, this cements in my mind that this is why I'm making the right decision to move over to the UK.
Yeah, definitely. Like literally, I moved the 5th of January. I think Dan Reed messaged me on the 8th or 9th, and the show was the 11th. And he told me, you've been recommended by Amy Sakura herself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, right? I
Doesn't get
know.
any bigger.
Yeah, Amy Sakura. Okay. The reason why is because I believe during the summer when I went to training, during those 5 weeks, I had the Eve training where she was there, just for like it was like an hour to, or maybe an hour and a half session. And at the end of the training, she told me, I would love to train you over there. I was like, yeah, cool. Yeah, of course I would love to. And for some reason she remembered me, and yeah, she recommended me for the Rumble, which was insane. And during that Rumble, it was the big returning of Sarah Knight.
Okay.
And as she came in the ring, we had a stare down. And I was literally the first person she attacked. So it was like, wow, that's a lot of information for me, because like Eve, literally 6 days after I move in, recommended by Amy Sakura, fighting against Sarai Knight. Wow, that's a lot. Welcome to the UK, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a great introduction to Pro Wrestling Eve. I think you had a match in the March against Laura Di Matteo,
Yeah.
another fantastic talent from Italy as well, but wrestles over here in the UK. How was that experience? Because I think at the time that would have been a first time encounter between the two of you, yourself and Laura Di Matteo.
Yeah, it was actually. We fought again, purpose 2 years ago, maybe something like that. But yeah, that was the first
Yeah.
time. The first time we wrestled, and also that was my debut in the Res Gal, which was the Resistance Gallery, sorry, which was for me a big like achievement, let's say, because it was kind of an iconic venue, and I'm very lucky because it was actually like weeks, or even days before lockdown, and then the fact that Resgal closed after that, it was like very fortunate. So again, like Eve, Laura Di Matteo, the Resgal, for me was like, wow.
Another dream match, another dream match.
Yeah.
I want to ask you very briefly about lockdown and the year and a half when there was no wrestling. Did that give you an opportunity to reflect on your career up to that point and maybe think about how you wanted to present yourself coming back and any changes you might want to make, switch things up? But the main part of the question is, did it give you time to reflect on your career and think about the future?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I've had quite a few personal issues during that time, like I guess everyone, anyway.
Sure.
But I spent every single day working on my dream. Actually, I actually started working with a personal coach. I lost a lot of weight. As opposed to staying watching Netflix with eating chocolate, I was working out. I was working out as hell. I was doing online seminars with lots of trainers, especially Sid Scala at this point, David Francisco. Well, sorry for mentioning him, but Daryl Allen as well. So that was obviously before everything happened, but
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of online seminars and really working on this. So I worked a lot in the in-depth development of my character, thanks to those seminars especially. And yeah, when I came back, I didn't have a new character because, as I said, like Kira Chimera is 99% of me. Um, but I had a much better understanding of this 1% that is different, and um, and yeah, that really helped in my development, I would say. And my
Yeah.
first match coming back after the lockdown was actually a Lego death match against Session Moth Martina at
Oh,
TNT.
the Lego
At
match, of
TNT,
course. Yeah.
madness, madness, and first ever all women's death match tournament in the UK. That was
So that
so
was your first match back after lockdown, a
yeah,
death match against Session Moth Martina. Well, I suppose that's what you came over to the UK for, I suppose.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I remember seeing TNT messaging you on Instagram. I was like, is it whoa, 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 is it a mistake?
But I
That was,
mean, 2021 coming out of lockdown, it appeared to give you a lot more opportunities. You really branched out, and certainly going through the list of companies that you worked for, 2021 going into 2022. I mean, the list reads TNT Extreme in Liverpool. You had matches for Rev Pro, which is a huge accomplishment. Coliseum, UKPW, and then going into 2023, companies like United Wrestling, Ignite, Pro Wrestling East, and more recently IWN. So you must be really, really thrilled with how you've kind of started working for such a wide variety of promotions and so many of them, certainly in the last couple of years. It's really cool.
yeah, yeah. As I said earlier in this chat, I've achieved more things than I thought I would. So my big dreams were Eve, Rev Pro, and Progress. The only one I haven't done yet is Progress, but I know it's coming. It's
I
coming,
hope so.
okay?
You'd be a perfect fit
Um,
for Progress for sure. A perfect fit.
I know, right? Like
Mm,
Camden is literally my home.
yes.
It's a punk rock promotion. Why are they waiting? What are they waiting for?
I'll
Seriously.
have a word with the management for you.
I know. So those were my big ones, but I've achieved much more than I thought because I discovered all the promotion for which I really wanted to wrestle. I made history in quite a few ones as well, especially for the women division, and that was not part of the plan. It just added up, and it makes my career. I once I retire, I'll look back at all of this being like, wow, that was something, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I failed to mention Resurgence as well, which is another group that you've
Yeah.
performed for. And it's just a little picture. Rev Pro, TNT, and Eve. There you are, and that's obviously part of your entrance there. But one match I want to talk about in particular, and you mentioned her earlier. I don't think you're very keen on her singing, but Aluna Blue or Aluna. I don't think you're a fan of her type of music or preference
Oh my
for
god, you
music.
saw that video.
But the two of you had a kick-ass match, a no DQ street fight. Now, this was for Ignite Wrestling, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
the reason why I bring this match up is because typically, Aluna Blue, your kind of, your archetypal babyface, and there she is in a street fight. Hell of a match the two of you had as well. But it looked like a really fun match as well as being really hard. What are your memories of that match against the Luna Blue in the no DQ street fight?
I love wrestling against a Luna Blue. Like we are so different, you know, and I think it always makes something nice out of it because we're so like we just don't match.
Yeah,
Um,
total
and
opposites.
Sorry, yeah, opposite, literally.
Opposites. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it was also the first oh, another time I made a story. Crazy. It was, sorry, the first women's hardcore match in Ignite. So
Wow.
it meant a lot for the promotion. It really meant a lot for the promotion. And I think that we did okay. Um, we we had this challenge that we had a family crowd, um, and the danger of having kids around the ring as well was something we needed to take into consideration. So there's been spots that were a bit silly, like I literally mopped Luna's face and put like careful, like you know those yellow sign,
Yeah,
the
the
like
wet floor signs, wet floor
wet
signs.
was sign on her. So people laughed at this, but she hit me with that wet floor sign after. But well, I tried. I like to sometimes, I have this Chimera super badass, super serious, but actually I like to have fun and I like to mock my opponent. So I really showed this part of me in that match when this happened. That was very, very, very fun. And like I love hardcore matches. I love being hit by the candlestick. I just love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to kind of talk about something different now. And you're very, very passionate about some of your other hobbies, interests, professions, but you're a musician, you're a social media manager, you are let's say you offer coaching to artists as well. Tell us a bit about some of them other kind of avenues, other branches to Kira Chimera.
Yeah, so we were talking about lockdown earlier. Indeed, like during that time I had to like do something with my life outside of just working on my character and all those things. And actually, working on my character made me realize that I love doing that, and I love doing that with people. And I'm pretty good at that actually. So I realized that. So I love this part, and then I also love working on social medias and building strategies and all of that. So I tried myself on with like people I knew, and I realized that it was actually working out really well. So yes, I kind of had like some sort of, I tried myself here and there. And
Yeah.
early 2023, I realized, okay, I need to make it. I need to try to make it a living. So I started to work really much on this business, and now, yeah, like I'm coaching quite a few wrestlers, especially in France. So all that is character development or social media strategies and how to work on social media, how to communicate on some specific things. The business as well, the business side of things, how to see ourselves like not only just wrestlers or musicians, but like entrepreneurs, because that's what it is actually.
Yeah.
So this sort of mindset shifts. I'm working as well with some musician, with some band. I'm about to sign a very big contract with like a big band in France who's been around for 20 years. So yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It's really working out. Like I'm very happy about it, and this is very complementary to my career as a wrestler, because obviously that's a job that I can do anywhere in the world, which means that, say I'm booked in Japan, I can literally stay over there and keep doing my coaching with wrestlers, musicians, and all that. So
Yeah.
so that's amazing. That's just the perfect thing. And it goes with who I am as well, this independent woman who just wants to be free and not just conform to the norm of having like a normal job. Like I am my own boss, you know what I mean? Like so yeah, that's pretty
There we
much,
go. And
yeah.
I'm going to bring up this picture here of you drumming. So,
Yes.
tell us a bit about your kind of love for being in a band, playing music, how that all works out for you.
So I've always been like, I mean, I've always sung, and my brothers were musicians, and I fell in love for the bass guitar. I have the little bass tattooed here, like a bass, like the note, music note.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I've always loved music, and I've always loved practicing music. I've never took any class. I started to play the drums. I lived at during lockdown. I actually lost my job. I lost my place, and I moved to a friend. He had a studio with like lots of instruments, and I lived literally in the studio for a year. So my bed was next to a drum kit, and I was like, cool. Um, might as well try, you know. So I started to be drumming, and I fell in love for it. So very recently, I took two lessons of drum, so just to like kind of see if I'm doing well,
Yeah.
and it's actually going really well. And I'm hoping in 2024 actually finally get back in a band again.
Good, good. Well, I wish you all the very best with that as well.
Thank you.
But before we say goodbye, just a couple of match graphics that are coming up. So we've got this one here. This is actually tomorrow versus
Yeah.
Harley Hudson, yourself, back in an IWN UK ring, Pain and Glory, one-on-one. Now, I don't know if IWN have a women's championship yet, but no doubt the women of that will kind of the winner of that will set themselves up in contention for a possible championship shot down the line, if I can get my words out. But Harley Hudson, I don't know if that's an individual you've crossed paths with yet, but what are your thoughts ahead of that one tomorrow?
Big one. Big one, isn't it?
It is
Um,
indeed.
yeah, I mean, especially since her recent events, right?
Impact. Yeah, getting
Yep,
signed. Big deal.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm literally fighting against the Impact wrestler officially,
Yeah.
which is pretty good. Also, the challenge for me is going to be to understand her accent. Uh,
Best of luck. It's a strong dialect.
yeah.
Liverpudlian.
But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. And also, I think the promotion announced that they're going to unveil the women's belt. So
Perfect.
interesting, very
Very
interesting.
exciting.
I have
Very
my eyes on
exciting.
it.
100%. And of course, we brought this one up earlier. This is December the 10th for United Wrestling for the Tag Team Championship, the Dogs Bollocks versus the Odyssey. And we've got this one here coming up December the 16th, back over to RIXE
Yep.
Catch for their episode 17. And there you are on the poster. And a few well-known UK performers on there: Dan Maloney, Alexis Falcon. I think that might be, in
Shreddy.
fact, Shreddy at the
It's
top there
Shreddy,
for
yeah.
sure. But that's another exciting show to look forward to. And I'm guessing that you'll be defending your title on that show.
I don't actually know. I need to have a word with the management actually,
Oh,
because during my match against Mila, when I defended my title, Alexis Falcon entrance rang during my match. So I need to have a word with the management, probably with Alexis as well. If I mean, I can see that she's gonna be here, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen.
very interesting. Very interesting. Rick's management, if you're watching, I think you've got some answers to provide, Kira Chimera. And we look forward to that show in December. And just a quick reminder to my viewers that my next live interview will be next Monday with the Queen of Mean, the former, and I hope she won't mind me saying that, the former Progress Women's World Champion, but we'll be speaking to Lana Austin on Monday the 27th. So just a few days around the corner. Live on Wrestling with John's 8 p.m. But Kira, it's been incredible having you on the show for episode 334 during our 5th anniversary shows. But where can my viewers and listeners reach out to you, find you on social media, get to learn more about Kira Chimera, or just reach out and say hi?
Especially on Instagram. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not too much of a Twitter X expert. I don't really like this platform, but like Instagram definitely, and I basically share the same thing on Facebook. So yeah, especially on Instagram, I'll if you want to message me, I'll try to reply.
Absolutely. And we have got some pictures from your merch store, of course, your Big Cartel. The details are running along the bottom of the screen there, kirachimera.bigcartel.com. But tell us about some of your merch, because you've got quite a few items up there, including t-shirts, some pictures. But what can they buy if they go over to your merch store on Big Cartel?
So yeah, I have two different type of t-shirts, quite a few pictures. I actually need to upload very soon some new ones, and I also sell little baseball bat is key rings, and I do them myself. It's handmade by yours truly.
Nice. No,
Yeah.
baseball bat key rings. I'm gonna have to get one of those for sure. I did see them on your Big Cartel. They look really, really cool. But before we let you go, if you've got some parting words from Kira Chimera, some final words to sign us off this episode of Wrestling with Johners, to your fans, your loyal followers, your friends and family, people that have supported you over the years. If you have any final words from yourself, what would they be?
I would say for anyone who is watching, just go for your dreams, no matter what it costs, no matter which sacrifice you need to do, just go for it. Go for it. Literally, it will be hard. It will be probably uncomfortable, but you just can grow in outside of the comfort zone. So believe in yourself and just go for it.
There we go. But the Anticonformist, Kira Chimera, thank you so much for being an awesome guest.
Thank you very much.